Welcome to Sips with the Suriel. I'm Jenna.
I'm Danielle.
And I'm Dina.
We're just three best friends who like to get together and talk books. We would love for you to follow along each week with us, just like a book club. We'll tell you the week before what book we will be discussing so you can make sure you've read it. If you check out our Instagram, each of us likes to make art, mostly Dina. So we'll put on our art interpretations for each book on our Instagram. Today, we are honored to have author Danielle L. Jensen here with us. Danielle is the New York Times bestselling author of The Bridge Kingdom, Dark Shores, and the Malediction series, as well as the Saga of the Unfated. Danielle, welcome. We're so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to be here.
We're very, very honored. So here at the Sips with the Suriel, we like to pair a drink with the book that we talk about. So today we created the Unfated, and Dina has that up there for you.
Yeah.
So do you get to tell me the ingredients of this cocktail?
Yes. So it has tequila, Aperol, pineapple, Mike's Hot Honey, and a little bit of lime juice.
Oh, if you had too many of those, you'd be feeling it.
Oh, for sure. It is very tasty, let me tell you.
Dina just got back from vacation, and she's still very much on vacay mode. So
I like it. it.
Living her best life.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to just jump right in with some easy guys. So tell us a little bit about yourself outside of writing, any hobbies, or you just write all the time?
I would love to say that I have time for hobbies. I have a young family and way too many series on the go. So right now my hobby is effectively sleeping.
Do you binge watch anything on Netflix?
That's basically the only thing I do outside of family and work right now. So although I'm gonna look like I have taken up golfing because I have this really big banner that I have to take to conventions, and I couldn't find a bag for taking it on the in the airplane, checking it that would fit all these banners. So I bought a rolling golf bag.
That's kind of genius.
So if you see me rolling through a convention looking like I'm gonna go hit the green, hit some balls, that's not the case. I am in fact just dragging convention paraphernalia with me.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Do you like golf?
No. And I'm not very good at it. So
hilarious.
No. So it's false representation.
That makes it even
But it's
better.
like really a perfect bag for dragging these like really those big massive backdrops, because they have like long poles that are, the same shape as effectively a golf club. So,
That's
I think it's going to work out really, really well.
Good.
But it is really heavy. So.
Anything to make the process easier.
What is on the banner? Like, what is the backdrop of?
They Del Rey just did a Bridge Kingdom one for me, so it has like the new covers, like the little sort of frames that have each of the female characters in them. So we have the first 5 books up there, and then it's like sort of swirlies blues that merge into other colors.
Pretty,
so it's very pretty. If you're going to be at a Polycon, you'll see me, and you'll know how I got it there.
Yeah.
We have the inside scoop of your travels.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, good. So, your ultimate writing setup, do you have any writing rituals? Do you go to Starbucks? Do you have a cozy corner in your house, a go-to drink or a snack?
I have a very large office that is currently, as we were discussing, very full of boxes at the moment. But on the other side of my computer here is my writing chair. I don't actually work at my desk very often. So I sit by the window, the heat pack behind my really abused neck. And I have sort of like the setup that is like least triggering for all of my various spine, back, neck issues that have come with being a writer. And I just get my children off to school and I sit down and I get to work. And then when it's time to go get them, I'm done. And that is, I don't have a lot of room for traveling to a special location to inspire the muse. And in truth, I find people really distracting. So if somebody is like walking around or doing something interesting, there's no way I'm going to be able to ignore them. So it's better for me to not have anything that's like visually or, noise. I don't listen to music because I get distracted. No, I actually have earplugs just sitting over by my desk for if my family is being a little noisy.
Yeah. So you're totally submersed.
I'm like just very easily distracted person, incredibly easily. Like if an email pops up, I cannot resist looking at the email. So I have to do the best to be distraction free.
No ambient music or anything like that either, huh? Oh, okay. No, all right, cool. Nothing. So just you and your brain. I love it.
Me and my brain. Fortunately, she's like pretty good company. So
that is
all these
true.
Random heroes and heroines to keep me entertained.
I was going to say you have a lot of characters in your brain chatting.
Yes, it's true. I mean, it's just like a party in there, really.
Yeah, do any of the characters from different series ever like mingle in your brain? Like, what would this character say to
It's more that they arrive at the party when I'm supposed to be hosting some characters from a specific novel because I'm working on it. And other time, you get people crashing the party and making it hard to work on the thing that you're supposed to be working on. So that's what they do. That's what they do.
Interesting.
Yeah, if you write so many different characters, I'm sure they start mingling.
They do, and I have a bunch of ideas for new books, and the characters from those books are really getting aggressive. And they're not letting the Bridge Kingdom characters be the stars of the show right now in my head. So I told them, like, just let me finish this book, and then it's your turn. But it's just not the way that they just don't do it.
That's so interesting.
And yes, all of you watching this are like, is she sane?
You're just artistic and
it's debatable, but at least I've monetized my quirks.
Oh my gosh. Right? I mean, however you can cash in on that cow, you can do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
So funny.
So you're a very busy woman. You have book 5 of the Bridge Kingdom series releasing in April, book 2 of the Saga of Unfated releasing in May, and then book 4 of Dark Shores releasing in August. Oh my gosh. How do you manage to balance all of that?
I don't. I don't. My agent is full on said, never again.
Yeah.
Never again. She's like, you're getting too old for this.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Which is true. It's just true. No, it was really difficult to mostly just find like physical hours.
Yeah.
To work on them all, because certainly like Scorched Earth, which is the last Dark Shores book, is 300,000 words, which is a huge book, and really double the typical length of book that I write. So it's kind of like I have 4 books coming up this year from space sort of length sort of standpoint. But no, it was really hard. I'm sure that there are some people who are just so profoundly efficient that they can make it happen with writing in so many worlds and meeting their deadlines and managing the process without losing their mind. But I am not one of them. It was really stressful and challenging, and I'm still behind. I feel like I'm still digging myself out of that hole because Bridge Kingdom 6 is like overdue, and I mean it's been drafted. I'm working on the second draft, but I have to hand it in this coming week again. And I was like looking at the number of chapters that it says like put this chapter here, and that's all I've written. And I'm not entirely sure how that's going to manifest, but it's coming together. It's going to be another long book. And it's just finding time, because it's not just the books, it's all the little requests that come along with publishing. It's like being buried by a mountain of small requests and endless emails, and so many publishers wanting like little tiny things that only take 10 to 15 minutes or maybe half an hour, but they like just pile up and you can't get enough time to do the actual writing. So yeah.
Well, we're very grateful that you carved out some time for us. Jeez.
Yeah.
Very
So I
much
think we're going to
appreciate
start
it.
with A Fate of Inked in Blood, right? I think that's the way we're going to go. Okay. So A Fate Inked in Blood has a strong Norse mythology and Viking influences. So what drew you to this setting? How did you approach weaving the historical and fantasy elements together for this story?
Sure. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the original show Vikings, not Valhalla, but the original History Channel Vikings.
Oh.
I was obsessed with that series, particularly with the character of Lagatha, who is the wife and eventually ex-wife of the hero. And I thought that the show really should have been about her because I liked her so much better than Ragnar. But, I really wanted to write a fantasy romance version of like a younger version of her. And that's where the idea really, really grew. And I've always really loved Norse mythology. I've really liked that period of time. So it just became sort of an instance where it was something that I was just interested in life, creating the story in my mind, which honestly is where most of them come from. So as far as weaving in the historical and the fantasy, it is mostly fantasy because it doesn't take place in our world. It's not historical fiction. So if you're looking for precise historical accuracy, you're going to be looking a long time. This is my world. It's just inspired by a particular moment and a particular mythology. Now, I do draw a fair bit from the actual Norse pantheon. And I think that that's something that people always have sort of like a very, even if it's cursory and inaccurate understanding of because of Marvel, of course, with the, seeing Thor and Loki and all that sort of stuff. And as much as those are quite different in their own way from reality, they do take some of the spirit of those gods. So I think that the general public does have a bit of a working knowledge on who a lot of these gods are. And that's been like very helpful as far as people not being sort of worried that they had to have this big base knowledge going in.
And that's kind of how I felt too. Like, I mean, I've heard of the different gods and then of course Marvel, right? But it made me want to like look up a little bit more on it and kind of see the background and maybe where you were taking from, just because I'm not very familiar with that. So I felt like it was a nice kind of like fresh breath of air to read more on that take and then have it in a fantasy world, which we obviously love. So I thought it was great.
Oh, thank you.
So Freya is such a compelling protagonist. I grew up in the 80s and I was a huge She-Ra fan. So her calling on the power of Helene, I want to say Helene. Right?
It's like Helene.
Helene, there we go. She gives me such She-Ra vibes. And like from the moment I read that, I was like, yes, this is my book here. So what was the most challenging part of writing her character?
I have been writing her, and I wrote her on the backs of writing characters who were raised with a ton of education and training and background and knowledge. So if you take a character like Lara from the Bridge Kingdom, she's literally been raised to be this sort of super spy. Like every day of her life has been education to kind of create this, perfect storm to send at Ithaca. Freya kind of just grew up like a normal person, and she has some training, and she has, weapons training, and she has knowledge, but she's inexperienced, and she's really thrown into the thick of things without this massive amount of base knowledge that some of my other characters have. And like, it would not be reasonable for her specific character to have that, because like, why would a fishwife from a fishing village in the middle of nowhere know all the inner workings of politics of the land? It just doesn't make sense, right? But it is hard because people sometimes misinterpret inexperience and learning as you go as stupidity. And so people, writing a character who is thrown in out of their depth and they're trying to figure things out as they go, you want them to like realistically learn how to do that, but you're also very cognizant of how very critical the reading public is of female main characters. And that can be a very hard balance between you wanting it to be realistic and for her to grow and have this really huge arc where she comes into her own, but not have readers hate on her for not knowing.
Yeah.
And that was something that I really struggled with. And I'd always be having these notes. Does she seem stupid here? And I never write those for men. Like, we're just so much nicer and kinder and more accepting of all the foibles of male characters. But female characters were just vicious on. And so that was one of the challenges in writing her, is because she wasn't this Mary Sue who knew how to do everything perfectly. And I really struggled with knowing that readers would be mean to her about that. But you don't want to make it a bad book because of this current desire for these perfect superhero women who know everything and never make mistakes. So.
Right.
They're not.
No, I think she like grew into, I never at once felt that she seemed stupid. I think that she was very smart from the beginning. And I felt that her learning her power and kind of growing into it was very good. I don't think, I mean, I like that.
I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm glad I found my balance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm notoriously hard on female character, and that's obviously a me problem. But I did not feel that way about her at all. I never once thought was like, oh, she's
normally if Jenna's annoyed by a character, she texts us, she's being such a bitch, or like, we're like, yeah, she is whiny.
Freya
she's
has
whiny
many
here.
things, but definitely I would not put her high on my list of bitchy characters.
No. She's very likable.
Yes, absolutely,
extremely.
I like her. I mean, I feel that if I had to pick a second to go into battle with, that I would choose her.
Yeah.
And I would even choose her above a lot of the heroines that I read about, because she's got your back. There's a lot of like, Morally Grey is really popular right now. And there's a lot of really selfish characters, but Freya's a proper heroine, and if she says she's got your back, she's going to have your back to the bitter end. So given that I have zero martial skills and would be totally dead weight, I'd need someone like her, because Laura would be like, I'm just throwing you off the cliff, you're too annoying.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
Hilarious.
like she's not worth having on it.
She's not having it. So funny. Okay, so then if Freya was to team up with any of the other leading ladies, who do you think she'd get along with best?
I think that she would get along really well with the leading ladies, probably with Zara from the 3 and 4 of Bridge Kingdom. I think that they both have a lot of the same moral fiber, and Zara's another character who would really, if she says that she's gonna do it, she's gonna do it. She's gonna stick with you. She's got your back. She's like profoundly loyal, profoundly honorable. So I think that they have a lot of the similar values, and that they would get along fairly well.
I like that. I think that's a good team too.
Absolutely.
So if A Fate Inked in Blood were adapted into a film or a TV series, do you have a dream cast in mind?
I always feel that when you write young characters, that it would be really nice for it to be like a breakout role for someone that nobody knew. Like,
great point.
And especially since I'm not 20. I know this is going to shock you all. I'm not 20. I'm not even in my 20s.
None of us are.
Neither
I'm even a long way from it. So I don't, especially with the male characters, I don't like look at guys that age. That's not who's hot to me. I'm like looking at the guys that are in their 40s as like, but that's not who you would cast. So I think you would need casting directors who see who is up and coming, see who has like this profound talent and needs this like breakout role. And that would be, I would want more of like the secondary characters to be populated by the people that we're like known and, that we're familiar with, because certainly a lot of them are older. and that the main characters would be someone just like new and really, really talented and obviously very, very attractive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do like that. I like being able to give those stars a chance to shine
like
and
that.
up and coming like that. That's good.
Yeah, we all need to kind of give up on this dream that Henry Cavill is going to be playing all these 23-year-old
Oh my
guys. Like,
gosh.
my
I know,
God,
right?
he does not.
I'm
he
so
cannot
over
vibe
that.
vibe.
Yeah.
Enough.
Like,
Enough
yeah,
with him.
you know, he's great for like an age gap.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For sure.
Exactly. So then when you write your characters, you don't have like specific people in mind or anything, like no one, you kind
I
of
can
just
see
come up and
them.
create.
No, I can see them I have that type of brain. Some people don't see things.
Mhm.
Or they don't see it very well. I can see them. Like if I close my eyes, I'm like, oh, hi, Bjorn.
Oh,
There you are.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I like
And
that.
so I just know I don't need to have a existing visual because I know what they look like and it's very vivid for me. The issue, of course, will come when we're doing like cover art or something like that. And people say, you know, art directors are like, well, who do they look like? And then I have to go digging and try and find something. We did use Catherine Winnick from Vikings a fair bit as far as inspiration. So if you see like echoes of her face in some of the fan art and a little bit in the cover art, which is why.
Could be that. Oh,
That makes sense. There
good
you
to
go.
know. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And so my last question on this, is there any Easter eggs, hidden details in book 1? And if so, are there any hints that you can give us? I know you said you probably won't give us anything, but here is us trying.
So my assistant helps me with my socials, and we were having this conversation the other day about someone tagged me on Threads and was so angry at the ending. Not angry like I hate you, but just like cliffhanger, you know. And you know, was kind of going on at length about it. And we kind of sat down and we talked about it, and no one knows where this book is going. We have yet to see a single reader, and I get tagged in so much stuff. No one has come close
Oh,
really?
to predicting where we're going.
Oh.
Well, now I'm even more hooked.
So, if anybody goes into that book and tells me that I'm predictable, I will be like, you're an effing liar, because I have looked at all the theories.
Interesting.
Oh, man.
Well, that's
Wow.
It does
that's fascinating.
have probably one of my favorite twists that I've ever written. And
Oh, wow.
but yeah, it is funny to see like the theories and just how wrong they are.
Oh, well, that's exciting.
Wow.
Okay, but
You're going to trick us
there.
all.
The Easter eggs for where we are going are absolutely, because it would be bad writing if I came out of nowhere with a plot that the groundwork had not been laid. So upon reading this book, you will be like, oh,
I missed that egg over there.
Excited.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
good to know.
Yet, no. And it is funny. We find it hilarious how wrong everyone is.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like it brings
love
us
it.
joy.
Oh
So
gosh.
It's like your
carry
inside
on
joke.
with giving me your theories, because I do enjoy reading them.
Okay.
I just
Awesome.
enjoy nobody guessing them.
I can't believe no one's come close. That's amazing.
Not that I've seen. I mean, it's possible that some like genius reader has like seen through to my soul and just not tagged me in their prediction. But as far as the people who have tagged me,
That's
so funny.
No. So funny.
Wow.
Okay. So let's head over to Ithaca for a minute. So the Bridge Kingdom features like a very unique setting with Ithaca and its strategic importance. What did you use to create this world? Like what country, what setting, how did this pop into your brain?
It's not based on, whereas Fading to Blood and then certain elements of Dark Shores are drawing from like a specific type of culture. You know, one is Norse, one is ancient Rome. British Kingdom is not. It's to say that there isn't any inspiration from the world. I think that any author who says that is out to lunch, because everything that fuels your creativity is the world around you. So even if you aren't specifically drawing from something, it may have like you've seen it and it's gone into your mind palace and like warped and become this thing. So, you know, I can like pick out certain things that were inspired by stuff that I've seen, but I did not take a particular place in the world and say, I'm going to replicate it. I mean, I think that everybody can like look at it and visually at the map and see it sort of might remind you a little bit of Central America between North and South America. And there is that, but it's not culturally drawing from there. I mean, it is tropical, but, and while Central America certainly has, you know, its fair share of storms, it's not impassable by ship.
Right.
And so, you know, it is not really drawing from any specific place. As far as why that structure, why the bridge, my idea always was centered around a kingdom that had sort of a chokehold on trade through some sort of physical mechanism. And I thought through like a lot of different ways that might manifest. And it just came into it like spewed up from the depths, and the bridge came into being with storms and it being the only way that you could kind of really reliably cross that stretch of sea. So the bridge itself is a physical manifestation of that original idea of how to have that chokehold on trade between, you know, North and South.
Okay.
So that's where it came from. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I love that. I mean, Danielle even like whispered it, like mind palace.
I know.
That's a great phrase.
I stole it. Well, it's from Sherlock Holmes, the one with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, yeah.
So you can
I
find
haven't seen
him
that
in
one.
his direct quote if you like search it. So
Love that. Now I
Yeah.
need to watch that movie tonight.
Right?
Okay. So
I can't take credit. I stole it.
Okay. That's okay. We could pretend it was you.
I bet people would know better. They'd be like, "You're lying."
So the political intrigue in this series is very intense, but you have a great balance between politics and romance and action. How did you learn how to divvy that all up so it didn't feel so political heavy or so romance heavy?
Well, I don't think that there is necessarily a right balance that is universal. Some people hate the romance. Some people hate political intrigue. Some people don't like war and violence. Every reader's balance, what they want, the aspects of like fiction or elements that you can have in fiction, it's going to be different for every reader. So I am ultimately writing my balance, the balance that I am looking for and that I find the most satisfying. I've just been very fortunate that like lots of other people seem to kind of share my balance. And so those are my readers. Those are my 5 stars.
Yeah.
The people who want a different balance are my like 1 stars. And we're just like not in sync on what we want from a book.
That makes sense.
Which is fine because there's lots of other books who are writing totally different balances. I think in romantasy, I am known for being the most political intrigue of all kind of the bigger names. It's like my claim to fame, so to speak, is that political intrigue is sort of my wheelhouse. And so if you don't like political intrigue, don't read any of my books because it's just, I mean, there's more and there's less. I mean, you could argue that A Fadington Blood isn't quite as heavy on it as Bridge Kingdom is, but all my books have like a heavy, heavy intrigue element. And if they don't start that way, they're going that way. And so I am just writing to satisfy myself. And I am just always hoping that other readers will like the same kind of things that I write. Like, so.
Right. You're not out to please your audience. I mean, yes, to
You
an
can.
extent, but
I mean,
like, you have to do what's good for you.
You cannot, there is no universal story that pleases everyone. So to aspire to write that is to aspire to fail because you cannot do it. We are too diverse in the things that we love and we hate. And, you know, as you progress through your career and you see more and more response to fiction, you can tell the difference between not hitting it with somebody who would normally really liking your stuff and somebody who is never, ever going to like your stuff, not liking your stuff. One, there's just, it's never going to happen. It doesn't matter. You have no chemistry, no engagement there. It's let them go. It's the person who normally likes your stuff that doesn't like this one. And then you might wonder why. And lots of times you can just dig into the nuances of reading their response, and you can see that it's not that the book is bad. There's just a part of this book that is not to their taste. Maybe they just really, really hate blonde heroes. And you wrote one. So you were just screwed from the get-go. You know, like there are things like that, and you just can't get really too tangled up in them, because it's the path to madness when you start having, you know, thousands upon thousands of reviews on your books. You cannot internalize the criticism of all those people.
Yeah. Like, do you just at some point just stop reading comments or reviews on Goodreads and stuff?
I only look at reviews when a book first comes out. I do tend to want to see, but by the time I have 100, 200 reviews, almost everything that comes after is going to be a variation upon whatever has been said in those. I don't want to crush anyone's souls, but you're probably not writing as unique a review, and your opinions are probably not as standalone as you might think. Like there's just a lot of groupthink going on, certain elements, and trends that people follow. So it's that's why I think that when you are looking at a reviewer to guide you on whether or not you might be interested, you find someone that has the same taste as you, and so you can trust their opinion. But if it's just some like rando who hates a book, how do you know if you have the same taste as this person? You know, you have to be cautious. It's just like looking at the Amazon reviews on a product, you know, like some people just have, I'm like, you know, my dude, you bought like this super cheap thing off Amazon. Of course, it's not like high quality. You bought a shirt off Amazon and you're upset it's not real silk. Maybe, you know, like you have to kind of, like look and find your people and take your guidance and go from there. So,
okay.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
So Lara is a trained spy and warrior, which I loved, yet she struggles with a lot of trust and vulnerability. How did you develop the duality of her character?
She's been effectively raised in a cult. And it's a cult in the sense that the people, you know, it's a certain very, very rigid belief set that there's no real room for anything outside of it. Obviously, it's manipulated in the sense that the leaders like kind of understand that a lot of the premises that, you know, she and her sisters are being raised to believe are lies. But she is effectively raised as a, you know, a zealot, a fundamentalist. She's so indoctrinated into this belief system that it is very hard to see outside that. But but conversely, she's also got characteristics that are hers and hers alone, and like her personality, her values, and you know, what she feels is important to her. And so those are two very different sort of ways of developing a character, but you have to like, and I really like the way that they engage with each other, like, because they're inherently in conflict, right? So, you know, she's been raised all of her life, viciously raised to believe certain things, but she's also smart, and she's like learned to be adaptable, and she's learned to think on her feet and to, you know, make educated decisions. So what happens when all the things that are inherent to her are colliding with all the things that she's been raised to believe? And I think that some people are like, oh, it should just blast those beliefs right out of the sky, but that's not how the human mind works. When you have been so rigidly raised in a certain belief system, you can't just be presented with proof of otherwise and like let that all go. That is not how humanity exists in our world. And so watching who she truly is combat and eventually win against that other force is very central to her character.
No, those are excellent points. It didn't really dawn on me until you said it. She was raised in a cult. Absolutely. Like, yeah. Crazy. Okay. So the Bridge Kingdom plays the beloved enemies to lovers trope so well. What do you think is the key ingredient for making that trope work?
It needs to be a very almost seemingly unsolvable conflict. And that's why I think a lot of times enemies to lovers can be, you're sold it, that's what it's going to be. But because the conflict that is presented is so infinitely solvable, it doesn't seem, it's not interesting. And if they don't easily overcome it, it feels like stupid in a way, or it just feels like you've been misrepresented because they get over it in the first few chapters and they're not really enemies, or maybe they're just rivals. Because enemies, this is a strong word.
That's true.
A rival is not an enemy.
Yeah.
And
right. You're competing.
Someone that you just don't like is not an enemy.
Yeah.
An enemy is, like Lara and Aaron, who are on the opposite sides of a major political conflict. They feel both, certainly Lara feels that he has been the destruction of her kingdom. And then ultimately we have a bit of a reversal on that. And that comes into being. Karis and Zara, of course, the heirs to kingdoms that have been in a generational war with each other. It's an insurmountable conflict. And I think that is the key, is you want it to seem as though it cannot be solved.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's an
and the reader is like, I don't know how we're going to get past this. That is what, as an author, you should be reaching for, is the reader be like, I'm not sure that this can act. I don't think they can have a happily ever after. Prove me wrong. That's what you want. And so
that's true. Okay.
You want a really meaty conflict for true enemies.
Yeah.
Now I'm rethinking all the books I've read.
Me too. Like
they weren't true enemies to lovers then. Like, now you got me rethinking everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I mean, it can be sort of this, like, rivals to lovers can be the same sort of vibes, but
it's different.
Unless you're a little bit deranged, you're not usually trying to, like, kill your rival.
Yeah.
You don't like, and that's, I mean, I think there's a difference between contemporary and fantasy, because certainly, like, if you're writing, like, people in university and that chick is pissing you off, you're not going to kill her. Right?
But in fantasy
that, like, might actually be what you would do. And so in fantasy can be inherently much higher stakes, and so it does really lend itself well to true enemies to lovers in a way that, unless you're writing, like, I don't know, rival motorcycle gang romance, which I'm sure exists, you're not really getting the proper enemies to lovers. So I frequently am judgmental of when I see something sold as enemies to lovers, and it is abundantly clear to me that this is not what this is.
Yes, I love that. Now I'll never look at a book the same.
I know.
I'm going to turn you into, like, a highly critical reader, and you'll be like, hi, I just want to read for fun.
So what was your favorite scene to write from the Bridge Kingdom series? Is that an impossible question?
I really like the ending action scene for Traitor Queen, which I won't spoil because I'm sure you have listeners that have not read it. But that particular moment, it's a very long sequence, but the part that happens in the water with the gate thing, that is you all know. If you know, you know.
Yep.
I really enjoyed the scene in Inadequate Air when Karis and when Zara realizes who Karis actually is, because they've kind of been anonymous, and so they don't go into. I know they go into the situation knowing that they are from different countries, but they don't go into this knowing that just how high up the chain of command each of them are on the war side of things, and that, like, precise moment, which is a very, very intimate moment when she realizes who he is. Was one of my favorite scenes to write because it's just such a like punch to the gut. I like that one. The tornado scene in Twisted Throne. Also, if you've read or listened to the audio, so that's book 5, which is already out on audio. I really like that. Not I like the scenes that are like so thick and choking with emotion. So it's not necessarily, some of these scenes are spicy scenes, but it's not so much the spice, it's the gut-wrenching emotional impact of certain truths that's being delivered. Those are the scenes that tend to be the ones that really resonate with me.
And are you like crying with these characters while you're writing it?
Sometimes I cry. It's not Bridge Kingdom, but the end of Scorched Earth, I like, I start crying every time I have to go through it. Like we're doing like the like very tiny minutia edits, and I'm like picking through, and it's like, oh, it's missing a semicolon here.
Oh no!
I like look at the scene, and I'm like,
no,
oh my gosh.
So if you're a Dark Shores reader, I'm not gonna lie, if you don't cry, I think that you might just be like a little bit dead inside.
Oh no.
But yeah, I do. I get really emotional. I sometimes feel like you have to, I don't know, probably not all authors, but I really want to, when I'm writing those scenes, like feel it in my heart. And so in order to do that, you're experiencing it. So, usually you're in the shoes of whoever's point of view it is. And so if they're like really hurting, it's like you have to make yourself feel that pain. And it can be really hard to not get super emotional about it in that moment. I'm sure there's technical writers who are just like, don't feel that way. But I'm like, sometimes I like say their words out loud as I'm typing, but like with a certain accent. There's this character in the last Bridge Kingdom book, and it's not even like a Spain-inspired country, but for some reason he speaks like Puss in Boots. I can't stop it.
That's so funny.
Like Antonio Banderas.
There's literally, it's just like the like sassy delivery of lines. So it's just like more of like the sass delivery and whatnot. Funny. And it's not because it's like culturally based on it, but like every time that character speaks, it's like Puss in Boots is narrating it for me.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That's cool.
I did like, because I listened to the books on Bridge Kingdom, the audio versions of it, and I did like the little environment sound effects that were added that you don't really hear a lot. And I listen because I'm driving all the time, listen to books half the time, and I don't hear a lot of that. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it, like the thunder and like the rain. At one point I was like, is it raining outside?
Yeah, it's a definite love-hate. I think you either like that. It really triggers some people with like sensory issues, because it's like it can be loud, and some people are just sensitive, have auditory sensitivities. And so if you are one of those people, sorry, this book is not going to maybe do all that well for you. But I like them because I tend to write like a lot of, it really reflects just the natural way that I write, in the sense that certain elements I will write as their sound. There's a technical term for that. It's escaping me. But like I'll write the word, there's a very famous sound effect, I would say, from Bridge Kingdom 3. Sounds a little bit like something very heavy hitting concrete. I would, in the book, it says thud. Oh, is what it says in italics, thud. So that you can, hear it.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We take that word out in the audio and put in that like
the actual thud.
Except that it's worse than that.
So the onomatopoeia of it. But
yeah. So there we go. Thank you. I was like, where is that word? It's gone from my brain. So it like really suits my writing style to be able to take out like bang and have it be like the right bang, or like a wood splitting, make that sound,
No, that is
thunder,
cool,
boom, you know, as opposed to the narrator being like, boom, you know, you get like a thunder, boom, you know, and it's, for me, it works really, really well. And I think for a lot of listeners, it works really, really well, but not all. And that's fine. I am sorry for people who like have that sprung upon them, but the thud is my favorite of all the sound effects.
That's fine. There you go.
So,
were there any major plot points or twists that had changed from your original outline? Like you thought it was going to go one way, and in the middle of writing, you're like, nope.
I don't really outline in the sense of writing stuff down. I have a mental vision of where I'm going with key scenes.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what's going to happen between those scenes. I figure that out as I write. So I don't ever, like, sometimes publishers make me write sort of a little bit of an outline and I just throw it away.
Okay.
It doesn't, I'm like, I'm just giving this to you so you can like show your boss and say she has a plan. In reality, I have no real interest in following an outline. Hilarious. To me, detailed outlining really steals the excitement of discovering what's going to happen to the characters as I go. It makes it feel as though I'm rewriting a book that I've already written, which is inherently less exciting for me. But that is very much a personal thing between some writers love that. Some people are more like me. Some people are in the middle. But as far as those like key plot points in my head, did they ever change? Yes, because sometimes I write them and then it just becomes very clear that in the progression that I've figured out my way through, it doesn't work. And to kind of cling to it and force it to work is just going to feel like you had this sort of pre-plotted chunk that you threw into the wrong manuscript. It won't fit. And you have to, so you either have to like really overhaul it or just write something different. And I am not, that doesn't upset me the way, I think it upset me more at the beginning of my career because it felt like I was excited to write a certain thing and now it's not really going to happen. But now I don't I'm not as concerned and it doesn't bother me as much when I write something and it no longer really fits. So I have to delete it. I just have files that are like, says deleted content. Every once in a while I'm able to go in and like repurpose, but I just think that you like get thicker skin even for the the process itself. You take it on the chin a little bit less as you progress.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Interesting.
So the series expanded beyond Lara and Aaron's story with the inadequate heir. So what was it like diving into those new perspectives within the same world?
I like doing that. A lot of readers do not like that. So I knew I had always planned or hoped to write Anna's story, which is why there's like so much setup for it. Even in the opening chapters of Bridge Kingdom, you find out she is supposed to be marrying the Crown Prince of Harrendell. The setup is there. And I knew that I wanted to write it. And actually the first opening action sequence of Twisted Throne, I wrote before I started Inadequate Heir. Because I thought that it would be next. But then when I started writing Traitor Queen and Karis walked on and he just stole the show for me. And as I really delved into why he was doing certain things for Lara and Aaron's plot, his story and Zara's story really just became so vivid in my mind. And that I knew that I wanted to, and from the timeline standpoint, it had to come before Anna's. So, it was sort of in that moment where the full scope of where I wanted the series to go manifested. But I love it. I think that it really makes the world so much richer when you can see the perspectives of different people, when you're seeing different places and different countries, understanding different cultures and belief systems. The world really, that is the only way, I think, to create a fully developed fantasy world. I think it's impossible if you are writing from a single point of view, because can you understand a world through the eyes of only one person. There's not any logic there, right? You can't. So it just allows you to create this incredibly vivid world. And I also really love to choose characters who are somewhat in conflict with the original characters.
Absolutely.
Because then it's another element of plotting, much like enemies to lovers, where you have this tension, this conflict, and you're trying to resolve it. I see lots of times when people are expanding their worlds and writing about new characters that they like choose the besties of the original heroine or hero and heroine. So they choose, you know, someone who is very aligned with the original characters, but then there's no plot between them.
Yeah.
If there's no conflict, there is no plot. So you need conflict. If you create conflict, inherent conflict between the new protagonists and the old protagonists, it gives you so much more plot. If they are just besties and, you know, people like them, then you're trying to like force it and create interest in the dynamic between these guys, and it's not, to me, as interesting. However, it does mean when you're writing, like, you know, Karis is like not exactly flattering of Lara when you know, read his point of view in Inadequate Air, and that like really upsets people. But you have to realize that he also only knows a certain amount about her, and the things that he has heard about her, the things that he believes to be true, are very negative. So he is right to judge her as he does. However, when he learns the truth, learns the thing that we all as readers know, then of course things change for him. Right. So, but a lot of people are just so angry at Karis for not being Team Lara. Anna, of course, having a tremendous amount of very justifiable conflict with Lara. Yeah. They're so loyal to the original heroine that anyone who you're either with her or against her, and they won't, it's hard to get them to jump teams. So sometimes the thing that I like to do and that I think makes a story better is hard for certain readers to emotionally manage, I would say. Yeah.
It also kind of makes it more real, you know, because that's how human interaction is. Like you said earlier, you don't just get over something because somebody shows you the real point of view or whatever. Like you have to go through things to understand them and really forgive or forget or move on.
Yeah, exactly. And so, you know, you're always trying to get inside their head and say, is this reasonable? Would a person do this, or is this just convenient for the plot?
Right.
And one makes better fiction than the other, but one is certainly a lot more work than the other.
Yeah,
true.
Interesting.
It makes a lot of sense. So if you could write a bonus scene, which character or moment would you focus on?
From Bridge Kingdom?
Yes.
I've written a lot of bonus scenes. They're in all the new paperbacks and ebooks.
All right. So which of those bonus scenes is your favorite then?
I know. I try to think if there's someone I've written, somebody that I would like to write a bonus scene from, because I just really like them. I would really love to write a bonus scene about Nana back in time when she was like a hottie and a spy and infiltrating the Valiant court as a harem.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's genius.
Because we see this very elderly, annoying grandmother who's always walking in and pissing off Lara and whatnot. But at one point when she was she was a heroine when she was in her 20s, and I would love to write young hot Nana.
Young hot Nana.
I support that.
Yes.
We're here for it.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe one day I can write some stuff about her. The bonus scene in Twisted Throne, which is out in a couple weeks here, is from Bronwyn's standpoint, from her point of view.
Okay.
So it takes place just after the end of the book. So it is I guess a little bit of a teaser of where we're going with Bridge 6.
That's always nice,
So,
though.
but I really have always liked Bronwyn, who is Lara's half sister. She's been one of my favorite sisters. So it was
such a great name.
It was fun writing from her point of view, and her relationship with Taryn, who is Arin's cousin. So yeah, I really did enjoy writing that. I have to write some bonus content for Bridge 6, so we'll see what that ends up being. And who, I think that when you're writing it to put it in a book, you're wanting to choose something that's not just like a whim and an interest, but something that like really complements the story of that particular installment. So I think I'll have to wait until I'm kind of at the end of the book and it's like really fleshed out and figure out whose point of view that could really add to the scene. Lots of times readers are like, just give me a sex scene between Lara and Arin, and I'm like, no. You write that in your head.
Yeah.
So between any of your books, any series, is there a character that you relate to like on a personal level?
Anna.
Okay.
Not that I've like any way endured her life or that our lives are similar, but I think that we think in the same way. And then Lydia from the Dark Shores series. Lydia, I'd say of all my characters, I took the most of my own internal habits and gave them to Lydia.
Interesting.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say she is my little glasses wearing heroine. Yeah, I'd say she's the most like me.
Nice.
But like so much more amazing. She's got like magical powers. I don't
Yeah, we wish, right? We all wish.
Yeah.
If you could body swap with any of the characters for just a day, who are you choosing? And with their powers, body type, whatever, what would you do? What was the first thing that you would do?
I would take Lara's body and I would walk the catwalk of Victoria's Secret.
That's such a good answer. That's such a good answer.
That's great.
Yeah. And
I
then
like
kick some ass. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Why
I
not?
mean, I call her my murder Barbie. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Arin didn't have a chance when she walked in the room.
Oh, so true. So true.
So murder Barbie.
My gosh, I love that.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our lightning round. So we're going to just ask,
Easy question.
the easy question. You choose which one you gravitate towards more. Okay, so this is lightning round with the Suriel, this or that. All right, so coffee or tea?
It's both, but I can't have. I can only have coffee first thing in the morning, otherwise I don't sleep. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, who would you save in a fire, Charles Snorri or King Silas?
Snorri.
I like that answer.
Okay. Paperback, hardcover, or Kindle?
Audio.
Oh. Gotta throw that one in there.
You got to put that in.
And there's two reasons. Physically, I spend so much time reading that my eyes are not.
Yeah.
They don't love my job. And then also it helps me turn off my inner editor.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh.
Yeah. So lots of
Makes a lot of
times
sense.
I can just start editing other people's books, which is not even remotely helpful. Like I would never say anything to anyone, and I don't write reviews. But in my head, I'm like, "Oh, that's a shit sentence."
Oh my gosh!
But I don't feel that way when I don't see it. When I hear it, I
Okay.
usually okay, which is weird
more
because a
of
lot
the
of people
emotion.
use audio to find like an awkward sentence and whatnot. But I just find that my inner editor shuts up finally when I turn on the audio.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Yeah.
All right, first person point of view or third person?
Third.
Easy. Early morning read or late night reader?
Late night. I don't like mornings
Me either.
at all.
Twisted plots or romantic tension?
And I have them like merged into the twisted plot.
You can
is
do
creating the
whatever you
romantic
want.
tension. Yeah, I honest.
You're so twisty, though. I feel like you're twisty plots.
I am, but I also am totally trash for tension. I don't know. I want the twisted plot to be to be the reason for the tension.
Yeah.
So they cannot be separated. They are as one.
They are.
That is what I want.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and last one, a fate inked in blood question. Would you rather be a child of Tyr or a child of Hlyn?
Hlyn?
Yeah.
Like neither, because it's just so much pressure. I feel Hlyn because then I'm not I'm not a person who's going to go on the offensive and attack. Which I feel like that Bjorn's weapon is a weapon where you like run in.
Yeah.
I would rather just be able to defend myself, and those two mattered to me if I had to. So the like magical shield is more suitable for my personality. And also I would like 100% accidentally light things on fire all the time.
Yeah.
So I just cannot.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I pick shield too.
Yeah.
It's a wise choice.
Yeah. The safer one, right?
Safer choice. Safer.
Okay, I think we're just going to wrap up with our questions now. So we know you're working on book 6, right, for Bridge Kingdom. Anything else in the works right now, or is that still like your focus?
I'm going to Germany next week to see German readers. And when I get back, I do have conversations about what's next with my editor at Del Rey. So
interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
I always have many ideas in my head. And so we are going to be very much looking at what is next. So I have options, and so we're going to have like a bit of a critical discussion over which one feels right to all of us as a team. So
Gotcha.
and then I imagine we won't give too much in the way of details until a book itself is written, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're gonna be like, this is what we're doing, and I'll be like, well,
okay,
it's out there.
But there is certainly stuff coming. But yeah, Bridge Kingdom 6, I have to give all of my Bridge Kingdom readers the big epic finale that we've been working towards. That's my first priority. So yeah.
Good. We're excited for it.
You definitely give off the vibe that you constantly have all different fires going and different things cooking.
Yeah, I do. And that's one of the things that's hard is because, and that's how I ended up getting in a situation where I was writing 3 series at once. Is I do always have a lot of ideas and concepts that I really, really want to do. And I have a hard time like accepting that there's only one of me and there's only so many hours in the day. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is there anything else that you want the listeners to know?
When is this going? When are we posting?
So this will probably be coming out in like 3 weeks.
Okay. So if this comes out in about 3 weeks, then Twisted Throne's already going to be out there. Because it's coming out at the beginning of April. So it's already on shelves. If you're listening to this, you can just go to the store and grab Bridge Kingdom 5. If you haven't grabbed the rest of the series, of course, they will be there as well. I suggest that you start with number 1.
Yeah.
5 will be there when you're ready. And then the sequel to A Fate Inked in Blood is A Curse Carved in Bone. It is coming out in May. You can pre-order the various fancy copies that are out there. You can see them on my social media. They're beautiful, and I love them so much. It's the finale of the duology. So if you are a person who doesn't like to start series until they are complete, in May, this duology will be complete, so you don't have to worry.
People like that.
Yeah, and then my Dark Shores readers, August. That 4th book is coming in hot. I know it's been a really long wait, but it is. I love that book so much. I think you're going to love it too. And I really can't wait for everybody to have the finale there. And then for everybody who will have read everything, I am going to very soon be hard at work on something new. And I look forward to sharing what that will be. It will definitely have a lot of Kissing. So
All right.
don't worry.
Awesome.
I'm not
Get ready
leaving
for that one.
romance roots behind.
Yeah.
Kissing,
Wonderful.
kissing leading into some chili peppers. Is that what we're
I
alluding
would
to?
imagine that that's usually,
Oh.
but I'm going to make you ache for it before we get to that.
Ooh.
Oh,
Slow burn.
Some romantic
Slow burn.
tension.
Tension,
love.
twisty,
Twisty.
tension.
Twisty
tension.
romantic tension. Got it.
Love it. Okay, so where can listeners connect with you online and learn more about your books?
Instagram is always a great bet. You can subscribe to my newsletter. You can find all these things on my website, which is just danielleljensen.com. And then I do have, if you're like old school, Facebook groups. Yeah, I'm not so much on TikTok because I'm old school. But I'm not. I do have Facebook groups, and sometimes that is a good place to get if you're like trying to search up some information. It is a better platform for searching than a lot of the other social media ones, which are not going to necessarily pull up the information that you're looking for. But website is 100% always updated, has events, has upcoming books, has where you can get all the books, has lists of editions. It has everything that you could possibly need is going to be on my website. So that is definitely a first stop if you're looking for answers.
Perfect.
Wonderful.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. All right, so make sure you follow us everywhere. You listen, rate, and review us, please. Please follow us on Instagram at Sips with the Suriel, Suriel. Click our Linktree bio and follow us on Goodreads. We will also put our episodes each week on YouTube, so please subscribe and like. Same name, Sips with the Suriel. All right, friends, thanks for listening, and keep reading to whatever end.
Thank you, Danielle Jensen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.